Hello, I'm Joe Hyde, publisher of San Angelo Live. I'm here with Seth Chomout, which when you see his name like written out, it doesn't read Como like Perry Como. It's like Chomout.
Yeah, just put it in post right
Chomout. Chomout. So, Seth, well, we're here to talk about the San Angelo ISD school bond.
Okay.
Okay? And you've been very outspoken about it. But before we get into the school bond thing, which we're all going to vote for on May 3rd, which is tomorrow or day after tomorrow. And you've been very outspoken in favor of the bond.
Yes.
But before we get into that, who the heck are you?
I don't know. I mean, a few years ago, I was at a thing and somebody like did this really good sales pitch of who they are. And so I sat in the car after that and I really figured it out. I said, hi, my name's Seth. If you need workspace, websites, or whiskey, come talk to me.
Come talk to you. So you have a website development company. That's how you started things. And then you got into this co-working space trend, and you, I don't know, own it, or you rented the old junior league building downtown?
Yeah. So we started at 1,200 square feet, and as of today, we have 20,000 square feet in downtown San Angelo. In the old junior league building, it's co-working, so we just have like a community of different people that get together and just all work in the same spot, but not necessarily together. So we have a lot of office amenities and things like that
internet
somebody would need.
And
so it's just all one price for everything, instead of 14 different companies having to all have a copier and all have internet service and all have a refrigerator with coffee.
In Austin, Texas, there's a company that is very well known, big brand, that operates out of a co-working space. WeWork. It's called Takova's Boots.
Takova's Boots.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're a national, international brand now. They import the boots from Mexico, but Takova's are really fine boots. I like them. They're priced right. But I thought it was just going to be this huge, corporate building, and I had to do a sales pitch to them, and it took me to a co-working space, and I'm like, This is interesting.
Yeah.
A big company like that. So what you see today, because of the internet and things like that, these co-working spaces, you can run a pretty substantial operation off your laptop.
Yeah. I mean, you think like the 1-person team or the 2-person team, but then now so many people work from home or work remotely. You could start something, have an office in one spot, and then like kind of just have all these other people in other offices all over the country or wherever. The thing you said in Austin, there's Impact Hub is a big one in Austin, and that's where Twitch got started.
Right.
So when you take a tour there, they'll walk you
through. And
Twitch
is a video sharing kind of platform. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like when you go take a tour there, they go, and that's the office that Twitch got started in. It's a big deal. But the other part that you're kind of like, we have so many different things, like they're like solopreneurs, it's just like, I'm not going to really have a team, but I'll maybe contract out to people, but I sit at my desk and do my thing.
Or someone on Fiverr who's doing a whole bunch of projects and stuff.
Absolutely. And so, but we also have like lots of other people, and it was amazing because today I was showing a lawyer around the space, and I was like listing off all the things that everybody does, and was like, you fit in perfectly here. We don't have one. We don't have a lawyer. No, we have a plumber.
So the lawyer can move in there and have instant clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We got a CPA a couple months ago, and then but one that's really interesting is so we have a desk. It's just desk membership, $300 a month, gets you all the things that you need. And Brothers Plumbing, the big plumbing company here in town, it's like that's their headquarters.
Oh, really?
It's that desk. And so they just rent it out of there. They have all their people running around all town. Like you see their trucks everywhere. But yeah.
So they're paying $300 for their.
So
their
he has a desk. Yeah.
For their corporate headquarters.
Yeah, he does pay a little bit more because he has a lot of meetings. But
right.
But yeah, it's amazing. And what I've always had to look at is, you even in web design, you when you have a really big company that comes to you and says, "Hey, I want you to do this," and then you have a really small company who wants you to do this, it takes me the same amount of time or energy or effort. So a lot of times I end up it's the same price, or maybe I'll bring it down for that one person.
Right.
But like the office space is just like, well, here's the price. And I noticed today I was handing the lawyer a flyer, and I was like, I haven't had a reprint these in like 3 years. I haven't changed pricing or anything. So maybe it's time. But
and all that inflation in between. Yeah.
I mean, but we've done great, and it's been awesome to grow and have some support and community support and things like that. So.
Oh, well, it's office space down there, and this building is a historic building. It's like built right around the turn of the century, wasn't it?
1908.
1908.
So, yeah.
And it's got wooden floors and
in some parts of it, yeah.
It's kind of a cool building. It was on the market for a long time, and no one could figure out what to do with it. And then there you are.
Yep.
You figured out what to do with that old building.
And it's working.
So you're part of the downtown preservation too. You preserved it.
Can we not?
Anyway,
this is the biggest headache.
So Seth, you get on the internet,
Yeah.
and you know you've been generally quiet for the last 10 years. You've been in town, right? And all of a sudden, you're just stirring the pot, worse than me.
Yeah.
In favor of this San Angelo ISD behemoth of a bond.
It's
$397 million, which, you know, if you want to speak unkindly of the bond, you say it's nearly $500 million. Right.
Yeah.
If you want to speak very nice about the bond, it was only $397 million.
Or I mean, you see it, and it's like, or you're looking at $750 or $800 million with interest, and like you talk about all these different things, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's just how it has to work.
Right.
I mean, and that's the hard part that I don't. What I wanted to do was I wanted to give people the reality of what's happening and not a bunch of my commentary,
right,
or a bunch of other people's, you know, and I think with a lot of times it's just like mudslinging and like facts thrown out there and like pick and choose this thing or that thing, and I try to be like a little bit more comprehensive about it and really just look at, well, here's the reality of it. And sometimes that meant it was good. Sometimes that meant I say something like 750 million, you know, like just now.
Right.
I'm not going to sugarcoat the thing. It's expensive, but there's just so many different like caveats to how it all happens. And I think one of the biggest pieces that, you know, if there was just one thing that we said is to recognize that there's so much oversight to state bonds, because what happens is we approve it. The state doesn't just write the school district a check and say, here's $400 million, now pay us back. It's, we approve it, the school board, school administration, whatever, puts out bids, they figure out which pieces of the project they're going to put together, and then they take that project along with the bond and go to the state and say, can we have this part of the money? Well, along the way, the state is overseeing all this, and there is bureaucracy.
So
and corruption
what you're getting,
stuff,
what you're getting
but,
at, I am not for or against the bond in this scenario. So I'm going to play the devil's advocate, so you can explain why you believe one way or the other.
Can I say one thing though? My friend Kevin Kirkland told me that nobody's ever the devil's advocate.
Okay. I'm God's advocate.
There you go. Okay.
All right. So what you're kind of going toward is the complaint that, hey, they've listed all these things they're going to do with the bond, but they're really not tied to doing it. And oh, by the way, they don't even know if it really is going to cost $125 million to rebuild Glenn Middle School. Because, so why would I go ahead and give them a quote unquote blank check for $400 million when they're not even really tied to these projects they're claiming they're going to do?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's tied to, we need to do these things. And I don't know exactly the answer to that question, but the thing that I look at is, here's this public information that we're putting out. Like, we're saying this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, with the oversight, with the reporting, with everything, I think we as a community over the next however many years it takes to build all this stuff have to hold school and the school board accountable to that.
Well, I think I'm going to answer
legal spots for that.
Regardless of legal spots, you have elected officials, and if they don't follow through with what they said they're going to do, you can vote them out. So that's the ultimate accountability. They have accountability to the voters. I think the other thing is, I've never seen I've covered school districts in Del Rio, Dallas, and here. I've never seen a school district go off of, come out with a bond and not do what they said they're going to do with the bond. The only difference I heard over the years in San Angelo as well, they built that copper roof on Central High School, which is like this clarion call for waste and everything, but it's really not.
It was cheaper.
It was cheaper long term to have a copper roof, and they had extra money on that particular piece of the project, so they went ahead and upgraded. That's what happened. And with all the hailstorms we have, thank God we got a copper roof on Central High School. Otherwise, we'd probably be on our 15th roof by now, right?
Sure.
So, all right. So the next thing you would hear from people talking about the bond is, well, the San Angelo ISD, their A through F ratings are so low.
Yeah.
They got Fs and Ds and Cs and maybe 2 As. That's it.
Yeah.
And the district is failing. So why would we give the school district $400 million when they have these terrible grades on the A through F rating system, which is off the STAR test?
But I think the almost the cop-out answer is like, that was COVID years. Like they're looking at COVID years. And, and like I teach a class at ASU. Like, sorry guys, but you're not doing school at I teach a junior level class. They are not junior level students.
And these are COVID. These are kids that were in high school
through COVID. And it's like, we're having to do a lot of
remedial stuff,
fixing things. And I'm in an upper level business class and, getting students just to turn stuff in. And like, it's just really weird, like in that world. So I think that almost the cop-out answer is those were COVID years. But I think that there's more to that with the like $400 million. It's the schools have been neglected enough and have needed a lot of work for years.
You're talking about the infrastructure.
Yeah, like just the physical structure of the schools. Well, if you said, I have a nice building downtown, but if I said I had a crappy building downtown, you wouldn't want to work there, right? And so how much does, and people have argued with me on the internet about this, is like, how much does a facility impact what teachers are there? And if the air conditioning isn't working and the teacher's complaining about that and it's not, we're not fixing that, or we can't, like, it's uncomfortable. What does that make you? Grumpier? Want to do the bare minimum? So like, I don't want to say that teachers are being lazy or difficult. I'm saying they're put in a spot where, well, somebody was telling me their wife works for one of the schools and they've constantly are moving her to a different office because she doesn't even have a desk anywhere, because just like this thing breaks down and this thing breaks down. And so, I mean, if you had to go to a place that you didn't like me or you, like private enterprise, we just
go somewhere else.
Fix it. Or go fix it or go somewhere else. And if you're a teacher, well, what are you going to do? If you're a good teacher that you graduate ASU, you're like, I want to go get a teaching job. And you're looking and you go, well, I can go to San Angelo, be close to my family that's here or whatever. I like it here. But I can go to Dallas, Austin, wherever, make more money and be in a nice new facility. I mean, Dripping Springs ISD is where my parents live and they're doing a bond. But it's like, there's no question. Like, yeah, of course we're going to do a bond. Their high school is bigger than Angelo State University.
I would bet you in Dripping Springs, just like in Lubbock. Lubbock has a $297 million bond. There's no tax increase with it because we have growth.
Right.
They have growth of their tax base, of their new properties coming on the tax rolls, so much of it that they can increase the debt to the school district and not increase taxes.
Absolutely.
And here we have, I guess, not enough growth.
No.
Or too many windmills that aren't paying enough taxes right now for the first 10 years of their deal, or something going on where we're forced to pay, and this bond is going to cost 27-cent tax increase if you're not homesteaded or above 65, those kinds of things. It's, I mean, for commercial buildings, that's a big tax increase.
Yeah, and so I think with the growth thing, like if you look down future, we're at a point where if you want more growth here, the people that want to work here and open businesses here need to be able to look behind the curtain, look at San Angelo and go, wow, those schools are great. I want my kids to go there.
Or
so let me go
the community's behind them. They've supported this bond.
And I think that from a business standpoint, like that's what they're going to look at is community support. But from the business owner that just shows up to San Angelo and is like, maybe we should live here, or maybe we should put our business here, or maybe we should do this. And like, well, the schools are terrible, and then that's going to make complication for my kid, and I don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to live somewhere else. And if we don't grow that tax base, then that doesn't solve any problems. So I mean, I've been here since 2006 with a 4-year gap, like 4-year pause, and like it's 100,000 people here. Right. It's like that's been the number. It's just always been the number. And if we want more people to want to be here, things like this, and there's 100 other things to fix. And if we don't fix, we got to start somewhere. And that kind of takes me to the thing where there's a lot of things to fix in our schools. There's a lot of pieces that are broken, a lot of just like all these different complaints. The too many elementary schools. That's one of them definitely that we have.
Too many elementary. You would think also there's the institutional tradition that many of these elementary schools define the neighborhoods from where they're sitting. For example, McGill Elementary. You would think it doesn't define much because it's just sitting right there off of Sherwood Way. But really, that community around there relies upon the fact that there is an elementary school that their kid can walk to school, not have to take a bus or anything. And if you look at places like Del Rio, what they did, I think this is a strategic mistake they did 20 years ago. They consolidated all their middle schools into one big gigantic gauntlet. And that's a gauntlet. If your kids can get through the middle school in Del Rio, the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, they are probably going to be really good UFC prize fighters, I would think. So there's some issues, in there. But the neighborhood, you have the other side. The other side is we want our neighborhood schools. And that's why there's so much outcry about closing those schools. They think, well, you kind of pulled the rug out from under us, so we're not going to support the bond now. But part of the deal was a lot of those elementary schools that are closed now were slated to get rehabilitated in 2018 when that bond failed.
Well, and I mean, I went to Cedar Creek Middle School. I went to LaGrange Sacred Heart Elementary School.
In LaGrange?
In LaGrange, Texas.
Yeah, cue the ZZ Top song.
Most of the time, half of that experience, I lived in Austin, Texas.
Okay. So you were commuting?
75 miles to school.
Right.
Okay.
They must have been some really tough German Catholics.
I mean, this was a thing. Right. So we did that. And then, that was my daily drive for like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Before that, it was 25 minutes from Smithville, Texas to LaGrange, Texas.
Right.
Then I went to Cedar Creek Middle School.
Okay, so North Austin.
That's Cedar Creek, outside of Bastrop.
Okay.
25-minute drive.
Okay, East Austin, I guess you can say.
Yeah, east of Austin, and then I went to Bastrop High School, and that was a 25-minute drive from my house. I live in San Angelo, and I work downtown, and my longest drive every day is 12 minutes. So like, I love downtowns. I love like the idea of downtowns or city centers or these things. I lived in Edmonds, Washington. Seattle is a city of neighborhoods, and every single neighborhood has a little downtown, and it's wonderful. But Seattle takes an hour to drive across it. Here, it takes 12 minutes.
Right.
Like, I drove through town from my house, which is near the new HEB.
Right.
And then all the way to the loop on the other side of Goodfellow through town, it took 12 minutes.
Right.
Like, I understand you want a close school, but they're real close anyway.
Yeah, they're real close anyway. And the other thing is, there's efficiency thing, because the other argument against the bond is the school district has gone from 16,000 students down to 12, or probably less than 12 now.
Yep.
We're losing students. But at the same time, I think, in my opinion, we're still growing a little bit in population. So where are the kids going?
I mean, we're all having, like, my generation and below are having kids later, or less kids, or they're not coming here because, but like.
That's a good point. During the financial crisis, which is 2008, 2009, a lot of people didn't have kids because they were broke, right? Or they thought they were going to go broke. And so there's this big bathtub in the normal progression that's kind of coming through the schools right now of what you call a dirge, no kids. And so that's part of the problem. So that might increase better now that Trump he's talking about he's going to incentivize women to have kids. Have you heard about that?
I saw that, and I was like, so if I have 3 kids, which I do, I don't have to pay any taxes. That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, let's have another one.
Yeah. But the I think circle back to like the school district kind of having problems, right? Like academic problems or whatever the problems are. Like you said, we can vote those people out, and we can work on that. The bond thing is complicated because you can only do a bond so often.
Right.
Like, you can vote for a bond every year. You can, but it can't be for the same thing.
Right.
You have to skip. Like, I think it's traditionally 3 years, but I think you legally have to skip 2 years.
There's talk in the legislature right now to even do away with that. So.
But there's so many steps between now and another bond that what it does is it slows everything down. Well, the only thing that the school district has to do, where it has to go actually to the public and directly ask for, is a bond. It can change its academics. It obviously changed its curriculum. Right. It didn't ask me.
Right.
They didn't care. But like, all of these pieces that like people complain about that are broken in the school district, those are things we can go to the school board meetings and like work on. And I've had a couple different phone calls from people that are not for the bond. And I put out like a message is like, tell me why you're not for the bond. And I've had people message me. I think we solved somebody's problem even, and that was cool. But I've had a couple people who like have very much had good conversations. Not, I don't want to pay taxes. Like that's one thing. Or I think I don't trust the school district. Like there's some, they're reasonable, but like, and that's what I called them selfish, I think. Like,
yeah, you did.
I mean, I did call them selfish.
You called people selfish.
I asked, when did San Angelo become selfish? The people that are mad at me about it are the people that self-reflected and saw it. But that's okay. I think that there's a couple reasonable reasons to not support the bond, and they're mostly systemic problems. And those are the people that I've already said, like, when this is over, like, let's talk about that and let's go and address that thing. I'm
not, like I said, I was going to be the God's advocate here, not the devil's advocate. I'm going to present to you something that I haven't heard anyone talk about as far as the bond goes.
Okay.
Obviously, 27 cents is a large tax increase, but if you look at what the school board's done for the last 2 or 3 sessions, with the help of the Texas legislature, is they've driven down our taxes, our school taxes, down to like 81 cents. I mean, they've driven it way down. It used to be a $1.21 for years. It would stay up there at $1.21. They've driven it down, and kept it down with that Proposition A we did the last election cycle that allowed them to free up more state money to come in here to help pay for teacher salaries and things like that. they've done despite what people say about our politicians at the school district, at the San Angelo ISD, I think the board of trustees has done an exceptional job. And I also think that Drew Darby has done a good job of what they call compression. They use tax dollars to compress down or downward the local tax burden of school districts. And to put that 81 cents into perspective, the city taxes you at 77.6 cents. And usually it's the city, usually the county taxes the least in 45 to 50 cents, and then it's the municipality, and then the school district is the big kahuna, right? But now the school district is driven down to almost where the city is. And the city is not raising their taxes dramatically, although the city does taxes the most. I mean, when you talk about tax increases, the city is the one that does the tax increases. Because they've done that, the 27 cents, you ought to give them some credit. Give them 20 cents credit. So really, because if you look at Grape Creek or Cristobal, I think they're probably in the $1.08, $1.10 range, and that's where San Angelo ISD will be if this bond passes.
We will still be less if this bond passes than Wall.
Yeah.
Like,
and Wall doesn't have new buildings.
No.
Well, it has one.
I'm not familiar enough.
You're not familiar with Wall?
I'm not familiar enough.
They
with
drive
Wall.
their kids to school in tractors.
I mean,
did you know that?
They spank their kids too.
No way.
I mean, some
No
of these.
way.
I was listening I was in the pharmacy at Shannon the other day, and I was in line, and I heard this mom answer the phone. She goes, "You did what?" And she was like, very adamantly, like, "No, you are going to suffer the consequence of this," and all this. And I walked over to her, and I go, "Yeah, that's what kids need.
That's what they need.
Somebody needs to spank these kids."
All right. Seth Chomout for the San Angelo ISD bond.
Yeah.
Very outspoken on social media. And how do you spell your name, and how do you find this personal page that has all the fireworks on it? If you want to see some good drama on Facebook, this guy's got it.
I think the main drama is on the San Angelo 411 page. So, but San
Angelo 411.
Yeah, and there's no exclamation mark on that one.
Yeah.
None. But
but it's just a boring.
Yeah, it's
just a boring thing. It's not like San Angelo Live, right?
So SETHCHOMOUT, but it's pronounced with a lot of silent letters, so Como. But I think that's the best spot to go find that. But if you go find me on LinkedIn, that's where I wrote about 8 articles, and it kind of all started with this bond calculator. Like, that's all I was going to do. I was just like spent an hour and made this bond calculator. And then it kind of spiraled into
Mr.
a lot going on.
Spokesman for the San Angelo ISD bond. Yes.
I don't know. Not that. But
I think, some predictions. I think that the bond started off, back in January in a very bad place. People weren't going to vote for it. I think it was been about, I did an informal poll with MailChimp. I sent it out to we have 17,000 subscribers. I sent it out, I got a 500 person response, convenient sample out of that, and it was 47 against, 39 for the bond. So they had about 8-point spread. I think that whoever is doing it, this PAC or whatever they have that's promoting the bond, I think they've done some. I call it voter harvesting, but don't take the bad connotations. They're getting their people out to vote. Yeah. And when you saw the uptick in people voting the last 2 days of early voting, I think those are pro-bond people. Now, whether or not they can overcome that 8-point deficit that I predicted they have, I don't know. But if you're for the bond, you better get out and vote and take all your kids and your grandparents and everyone else and people who work for you and get them to vote for it. Yeah, it's a really tough ask. It's a tough sell. I don't think anyone that's in the school district will deny that. But I do believe that there's been a good organized effort to try to get the thing passed.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, this is Seth Chomout. I'm Joe